Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Asad Yaqub and this video will help you achieve 8 band in IELTS listening if you are looking for 8777. Right? We are going to do IELTS listening part 4 and I'm going to equip you with some tips, techniques and methodologies to achieve maximum number of correct answers in part 4. Sometimes what happens, part 3 becomes very stormy. Stormy means multiple choice, long options, this and that, and sometimes you lose a couple of right answers and then you just fluke there, and when you reach part 4 you again think part 4 is going to be the toughest one and all that, but I'll give you some tips and techniques to deal with part 4 and you will be able to get better band score in part 4 as well. Let's take a start and then I'll play the audio, you will take the test and then you will tell me the right answers, the number of right answers, because I know these days we've got this lockdown situation and you cannot go to institutions due to this pandemic. So this video is going to serve you the best. Okay. All right. Complete the notes below. In part 4, all the time we get notes completion. One word only, no number, only one word. Okay, so when it is one word only, don't write 10 as 10. You should write TEN 10. How the Industrial Revolution affected life in Britain. What's the subject? Industrial Revolution in Britain affected life. And how? That's the topic. Okay, now in one word only part 4, answers are mainly nouns. Most of the time the answers are noun. Otherwise they are actually adjectives and there can be a couple of answers where you will use a verb. But mainly answers are nouns. Some answers are adjective and some answers are verbs. What do? I mean, they just confuse you. If the answer is a noun, they will give a couple of adjectives before that. If the answer is an adjective, they will give a couple of nouns just to confuse you. They always try to distract you, like from 3-4 option of words, one answer is right. And by the way, the answer which is right, it is very, very obvious and you got to select that. Now let's take a start. 19th century, question number 31 I'm going to read. For the first time, people's possessions were used to measure Britain's dash. People's possessions, what are the possessions? House, then they have what is inside the house, electronics and all that. So for the first time, they used people's possessions to measure. For measure, they might use the word to calculate. Right? For Britain, they use the word UK. Right? So what is it? For the first time, they used people's possessions to measure something. To measure GDP or to measure something else like that. For measure, they may use the word to calculate, to add up to something and all that. And answer is one word only. Next, question number 32. Developments in production of goods and dash in greatly greatly changed lives. Now this question has got two options. One is already given and second will be given in the audio. What do? They have written the word and. For and they can say not only that. For and they can say along with this. For and they can say apart from this. For and they can say with this. Or they can use the word and as well. Now what is that? Developments in production of goods and in. So it means development. The subject or the verb main thing is development. Development in goods and development in something greatly changed lives. So they may speak about goods as well as that changed in life. For developments, they can use the word progress or any other word. So the answer is going to come before or after goods. Good? Very good. I'm fasting actually, but she's still making videos. Since morning, we've been doing this recording and I'm active and fresh. Next is main areas of change. Now, what are the main areas of change? This is the second heading, and our subheading is manufacturing. In manufacturing, we've got question number 33. The Industrial Revolution would not have happened without the new types of dash that were used then. Now, Industrial Revolution was because of the new type of something which was used at that time. So, new type of what? For new, they say they discovered a brand new, they discovered another new, brand new, latest or something like that. Type of dash. Types of dash is going to be the answer. So, you got to see types of what that were used then. So, type of something which was used at that time. This is how you can find the answer, and remember the answer is one word only. Question number 34. The leading industry was dash. Its products became widely available. Leading industry. Now they say at that time the most popular industry was, and then they will talk about it. So the leading industry was dash, and then they say its products became widely available. So this answer can be spoken like, because of the widely available products, dash became the most popular industry. So they will just try to talk like that. Okay, give me one apple. I need one apple. One apple please. One apple to me. They can talk in several ways, right? Okay, question number 35. New. Again new. And new can be replaced by another, latest, right? New dash made factories necessary, and so more people moved into towns. New something made factories necessary, and more people moved into towns. Towns means cities. Now new what made factories necessary? In the factory, what is it that we have? And then there was new dash. Okay, so they say old, for example, if the answer is going to be camera, old cameras were replaced by new, and this became essential for people to move to the town, right? So old cameras were replaced by new, answer can be cameras. Okay, they talk like that. Let's go on. Transport. Question number 36 is in the second bullet point. So transport is, because of the new transport, greater access to dash made people more aware of what they could buy in shops. See that? So greater access to. Now I think I've got a feeling that they've written here made people more aware of what they could buy in shops. That can be a source of advertisement like television, newspaper, or any other source of advertisement, because they've written made people more aware of what they could buy in shop. So greater access to media made people, greater access to television made people. That is going to be something like that. So as a result of that, people were aware of what they could buy in shops. And remember, one word only. Let's go on. When shopping, people were not limited to buying dash goods. Dash goods means type of goods, right? Why? When shopping, people were not limited to buy imported goods, right? Or any other thing like that. So goods is a noun. The answer is going to be adjective, which is going to qualify goods. See that? If you read the questions like this, you will find every answer. Every answer you're going to find. Let's go on. Last three questions are about retailing. First bullet point, the first department stores were open, but you just need to read where there are the questions. The other options you can just skim and underline one option. Displays of goods were more visible. All right. Question number 38. Inside stores, because of better dash. Now just see, display of goods were more visible. Okay. Where? Inside the store. Because of what? Because of something, display became visible. So now you need to find that thing due to which display became visible. It can be anything, right? Like that. So inside stores, because of better. Now the clue word is better. They will replace it with any synonym, or they will paraphrase the word better into a way, and whatever they say after that, that will be the answer. And the answer is something that actually made the display of goods more visible. Question number 39. Outside stores, because dash were bigger. Now bigger, dash were bigger means something was bigger. For that they can use the word. For example, if the answer is going to be cupboard, for example, then they will say cupboards were bigger. They will say big sized cupboards, gigantic cupboards. Cupboards had a large size. Cupboards were really big. So whatever they say, dash were bigger. Now see, they have written were. Were means you must fill the blank with a plural word if you write a singular word. For example, the answer is cupboards and you write cupboard. Your answer will be considered absolutely wrong. Whenever they use verb after the blank, you have to see subject verb agreement. This is important. Finally, question number 40. Dash that was persuasive became much more common. Something which was persuasive became much more common. It can be anything, like product that was persuasive became much more common, or it can be commercial that was persuasive became much more common, or anything like that. So for persuasive, they can use the word convincing, attractive. Okay, so for example, in the audio, and remember, whenever they use the word dash that was, they never use that was. Now, for example, dash that was persuasive. For instance, if the answer is magazine, for example, so they will not speak the answer magazine that was persuasive. They will say persuasive magazine. They will say, for example, if the answer is dash that is convincing and the answer is idea, in the audio they will say convincing ideas. Convincing ideas are the ideas that are convincing. Whenever they use the word that is, that was, that will be, they always play this technique. I am 100% sure about that. Okay guys, now I play the audio and I need 10 by 10 result from you. Those who are going to get 10 by 10, I will like and love their comment, and those who get less, even I'll do that. So you should try to target minimum 7 to 8 answers in part 3 if you are looking for band score 7.5 or even above. All the best guys. I play the audio now. I also teach IELTS online. If you want to join my online IELTS classes, my WhatsApp number is given. You can contact me for that. Asad Yaqub truly wishes you best of luck. Take good care of yourselves, and now you take this listening test. Write all your answers on a piece of paper from 31, 32, 33, 34, and remember it's one word only. After the audio, I will show you the answers and then you check your answers yourself and then tell me how many answers are correct. Don't forget to comment the number of correct answers. All the best. Take care. Good luck.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Hi everyone. In this session, I'll be presenting my research about the social history of Britain during the Industrial Revolution. I particularly looked at how ordinary lives were affected by changes that happened at that time. This was a time that saw the beginning of a new phenomenon, consumerism, where buying and selling goods became a major part of ordinary people's lives. In fact, it was in the 19th century that the quantity and quality of people's possessions was used as an indication of the wealth of the country. Before this, the vast majority of people had very few possessions, but all that was changed by the Industrial Revolution. This was the era from the mid-18th to the late 19th century, when improvements in how goods were made, as well as in technology, triggered massive social changes that transformed life for just about everybody in several key areas. First, let's look at manufacturing. When it comes to manufacturing, we tend to think of the Industrial Revolution in images of steam engines and coal. And it's true that the Industrial Revolution couldn't have taken place at all if it weren't for these new sources of power. They marked an important shift away from the traditional watermills and windmills that had dominated before this. The most advanced industry for much of the 19th century was textiles. This meant that fashionable fabrics and lace and ribbons were made available to everyone. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people made goods to sell in small workshops, often in their own homes. But enormous new machines were now being created that could produce the goods faster and on a larger scale, and these required a lot more space. So large factories were built, replacing the workshops and forcing workers to travel to work. In fact, large numbers of people migrated from villages into towns as a result. As well as manufacturing, there were new technologies in transport, contributing to the growth of consumerism. The horse-drawn stagecoaches and carts of the 18th century, which carried very few people and goods and travelled slowly along poorly surfaced roads, were gradually replaced by the numerous canals that were constructed. These were particularly important for the transportation of goods. The canals gradually fell out of use, though, as railways were developed, becoming the main way of moving goods and people from one end of the country to the other. And the goods they moved weren't just coal, iron, clothes, and so on. Significantly, they included newspapers, which meant that thousands of people were not only more knowledgeable about what was going on in the country, but could also read about what was available in the shops, and that encouraged them to buy more. So faster forms of transport resulted in distribution becoming far more efficient. Goods could now be sold all over the country instead of just in the local market. The third main area that saw changes that contributed to consumerism was retailing. The number and quality of shops grew rapidly, and in particular, small shops suffered as customers flocked to the growing number of department stores, a form of retailing that was new in the 19th century. The entrepreneurs who opened these found new ways to stock them with goods and to attract customers. For instance, improved lighting inside greatly increased the visibility of the goods for sale. Another development that made goods more visible from outside resulted from the use of plate glass, which made it possible for windows to be much larger than previously. New ways of promoting goods were introduced too. Previously, the focus had been on informing potential customers about the availability of goods. Now, there was an explosion in advertising trying to persuade people to go shopping. Flanders claims that one of the great effects of the Industrial Revolution was that it created choice. All sorts of things that had previously been luxuries, from sugar to cutlery, became conveniences, and before long they turned into necessities. Life without sugar or cutlery was unimaginable, rather like mobile phones these days.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.